I wonder what's on the tube.
Welcome back.
Thank you for being a friend.
What you talking about, Willis?
You are a meathead.
No soup for you.
Adjust those bunny ears and don't touch that dial.
Because this is Sitcom My Face. I'm Jay.
I'm Nick.
And this week, what are we talking about, pal?
This week we're talking about Amos and Andy.
But first, we lost somebody else. We lost another sitcom. Great.
Uh-oh. Who'd we lose this time?
Not a leading sitcom star, as far as I can tell, but a man that we've known for many a year. We talk about the show Seinfeld quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know who you're talking about. The book detective.
Bookman.
Yes, Bookman.
Yeah, the classic. I think he was on what, 2 episodes? Wasn't it a 2-parter?
I believe so.
R.I.P. to Philip Baker Hall. From that, also from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think he did 2 episodes of that. He was the doctor. Larry's doctor on Curb and Bookman. I think he's such a funny deadpan guy.
Oh yeah,
I've always loved him. The Bookman thing though, that's got to be the #1 thing on his resume. And the guy's been in a million movies, but
oh yeah, I'm sure. Like his resume, like looking him up on IMDb is going to probably be an extended list there.
We always connect. At least I always connect my sitcom stars to horror movies.
Oh, and what connection do we have this time?
He popped up in the remakes of both Psycho with Gus Van Sant and the remake of the Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was he was like the priest in the remake of Amityville with the flies and get out that shit.
Yeah. I never saw the remake. I saw the original, but yeah, never. It's one of those. I forgot that it existed.
It's not bad. It's one of the better horror remakes, I would say.
Oh, really?
But it's just the same, so it's not really.
You're not adding anything or changing anything.
Horror remake to me, you gotta be a little better to warrant it, and it's good, but it's not better.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times, like I find when it comes to like horror remakes, if you're talking about something originally from, say, like you're talking about something from the 40s, 50s, something like really old, and a remake, to update it, that's fine. But when you're talking about some of these like 80s, 90s, whatever things, and you're remaking it already,
we can make our own Amityville horror movie. You know that?
Oh,
don't need to go through anybody. You know why?
Why
is
the
rule? Anybody. This is why there's 50 fucking Amityville movies. Is because you can't copyright the name of a town.
Oh.
So somebody realized that way back in the day and was like, "Hey, we can make any movie with fucking Amityville in the title." So you got Amityville movie theater and Amityville this and that, Amityville like everything you could think of. Amityville Asylum, Amityville popcorn bucket. I don't fucking know. It's so stupid. But that's why there's a million of those. So let's make an Amityville movie. Let's do it.
Why not?
I think there's one called like Amityville Dildo somebody did or some shit.
Oh dear God! But well, the interesting part is actually there was a piece of the Amityville Horror actually filmed down in South Jersey. The part of the movie.
Yeah, the house is in Amityville, New York. I don't know, how far is that from you?
Amityville, New York, not that far. I believe it's about an hour.
It's gotta be shitty to own that house, right? All the people just on your porch all day.
Yeah, it's like.
I saw one video though the other day.
Hey, buddy, get out!
I saw a vlog the other day, and this guy's real smart. He bought the house from Friday, Craig's house, Ice Cube's house from Friday, and he just put a fucking sign on the porch that says, "Friday house rules. No smoking. Pictures on the porch, $10. You put your money in the box or pay the man."
Sweet. There we go.
And they had lines down the street.
Yeah.
This guy probably gets money all day long.
Buco bucks.
That's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, that's the way. Rather than it's like, You had sent me also that documentary that I forget what the guy's name was, like Andy or something. No, not Amos and Andy, but the guy. Like he's got a couple of YouTube channels, and he went through that whole.
Adam the Woo.
Adam the Woo, yes, Adam. Yeah. Not Andy.
He's I don't watch that many bloggers or vloggers, but I like him. He seems to be real down to earth, and he goes to such cool locations.
Yeah, and
the Warner Ranch one you're talking about?
The Warner Ranch, where a lot of
speaking of movies and sucks.
Movies and and I believe there were a couple of sitcom pieces in there as well too that he had mentioned.
At the Warner Brothers studio lot, there is a place called the Warner Ranch, and it's just, I guess, a big loop.
Yes.
And they said they did it as a curve, a loop, so that it would look like the road goes on forever, but it's just just enough for you to film out on the street. But I guess they shot WandaVision there, and the houses from WandaVision were things like the Griswold house from the Vacation movies. Yep. The Bewitched house, what I guess was Wanda's house in the movie or in the show.
Yeah. The whole reason why with WandaVision, I don't know if you had seen that, but they actually.
I know the premise of it.
Yeah, they actually took from a lot of the old sitcoms, from older to more recent sitcoms as each episode progressed.
Well, it's just really cool to see. You got the Stevens house, Samantha Stevens' Bewitched house, right next to the Lethal Weapon house.
And remember the Gremlins.
Gremlins, right next to the Griswold's house. Mm-hmm. There was the pool that was from Gremlins.
Yeah, which they were saying they actually built
Christmas Vacation.
What was it for the Gremlins one? They built the YMCA around the pool.
Yeah, the pool's just there. There was the other. There was another one that was there that was kind of a big one. I can't think of right now.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well, the Waltons? Was the Waltons there?
Yes, yeah, they did say the Waltons.
I think the church maybe of the Waltons and the house, one of the houses.
But from the church, I think the steeple was already missing, so it kind of started lower.
I think the middle. I want to say you said the house from the middle, which I have not seen yet, but my mom used to love that show. Yeah, so it's kind of sad that this whole area is being torn down. I think they're building new studios or something, they said.
I believe that's what Adam said, but...
Yeah. If you just look up the Warner Ranch vlog or tour, there's 2 or 3 videos out there. Looks like one guy got in a few years back, so you can see a little bit earlier before they changed the exteriors a little bit. Have you been on a studio tour?
I have not been on a studio tour as of yet.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty sick but it is weird when they go, there's nothing inside. It's just because they usually shoot the interiors on the sound stages,
Mm-hmm. No, it was very cool though to see that piece of history, and today we're actually going to be talking about a bit of history when it comes to sitcoms and radio sitcoms, radio serials, and.
Well, I just thought it was really poor taste when you said you wanted to do this show in blackface. I think that's
no,
incredibly inappropriate, Nick.
No.
But of course, we're
for
talking
all those
about...
out there. Yeah, Jay was making a joke because I would not want to do. I'm so uncomfortable even looking at the 2 creators of Amos and Andy.
We're talking about the movie, right? Amos and Andrew, Nicolas Cage, and Samuel L. Jackson.
No. No, but Freeman Godson and Charles Correll, the creators of actual Amos and Andy and the radio program, they were also in the first and only motion picture of Amos and Andy in blackface, and I can't watch that.
A film from 1930 where 2 white men in blackface play black men in very stereotypical voices.
Right.
And the movie, I don't get it. The movie is still available to watch on Tubi.
Yes. It's still...
Which is very interesting that something like that, I mean, Disney pulls Song of the South or whatever from every place they can, but something like this could go. It's a bizarre choice. But the Amos and Andy show was a radio program that ran for, 33 years, 32 years?
Right. And the crazy part, Goodson and and Carell, they actually had a radio program that preceded this called, what was it, Sam and, I don't know if you, Sam and Henry, that's what it was. It was supposed to be, there was a comic strip called The Gumps that they wanted these two guys to actually create a radio program off of this, but they decided to make their own spin on things called Sam and Henry, which basically preceded Amos and Andy when they switched radio stations. They decided to create new characters.
Imagine a world where it sounded like most Americans were under the impression that they were African Americans.
Yeah.
On the radio.
Yeah.
So the show started in 1928.
Yeah.
1928 to 1960.
God.
And I guess this was basically it only really ended, it sounded like, because they announced they were going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're going to retire from show business. We've been in the radio business for a long time. So for 32 years, these two white men are playing African Americans on the radio. They do the film in blackface, and it was just a time where no one really gave a shit. They even said it was the biggest hit for RKO ever until King Kong.
King Kong, yeah.
Which was only, I think, 6 years later or something, but still. That's
that
crazy.
was, 30... what was King Kong? 39? 30...
It was definitely in the 30s.
Yeah, definitely a 30s movie. But, yeah, it's just so strange.
The film was called Check and Double Check, 1930.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and which was a phrase that Amos and Andy had used in their early days.
Now, the interesting thing is I guess the premise also of the radio show was just you had Amos is really just the narrator for the program. It's not really, and that's why the same guy which one was Andy? Was it Charles Coral? Or Freeman Gosden? I forget which one's which. But one plays Amos and Kingfish.
Yes.
And the other one plays Andy, which makes sense because Amos is barely in the show, it seems like.
Right.
He just comes on to be like, I'm Amos, here's what's going on, let's get to our story,
Mm-hmm. And he's kind of like, if you want to say, not the conscience, but he's kind of like the voice of reason usually, because Andy is getting himself in some sort of trouble because of the Kingfish. So, yeah, Amos is there to kind of... What's that?
Let's say how do you describe the plot of this show? Because it's really just, I don't even know the connection between these characters. Really, are they just friends, like buddies from the neighborhood, or Kingfish is just a conniving man who's is he a businessman? I don't even know what his business is really. Is he a lawyer? What the fuck is he?
He's anything he wants himself to be. Apparently,
he's just this guy who he's always trying to scam his friend Andy out of money in any way, or anyone really out of money, but usually comes down to Andy.
Yeah,
and then Andy
that's his
always
usual
ends
mark.
up.
Yeah,
Andy always ends up getting duped because he's a little foolish, and he always ends up at Amos going, "Here's what Kingfish did," and Amos is like, "You're an idiot," and then helps him fix it for a hot second. But
exactly.
Yeah, Amos really isn't in the show much. I don't understand why the fuck Andy would be friends with this piece of shit, knowing full well he's trying to rip him off at every turn.
The interesting thing is, like, the three of them are part of the, what is the thing, the Order of the Sea, the Royal Order of the Sea, I think is the brotherhood there. Kind of like in the Honeymooners, you have the Royal Lodge of the Raccoon Lodge. And then the Flintstones, the Royal Order of Water Buffalo.
It is interesting that the radio program goes for years, and then when the show comes along in 1951, they do the live action television show that ran from 51 to 53 and had 75 episodes. I saw different numbers, but the main consensus seemed to be about 75.
Well, it's a little weird because it's of what had originally aired. It was less than 75. They
came back for 13, right?
There were 13, and then there was another 13 that were produced it was supposed to be like sort of like a spin-off called the Adventures of Kingfish.
Mm-hmm. But it aired in reruns under
Amos and Andy title. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they said they wanted to get it was a CBS show, and they wanted to get syndication. They didn't think they had enough, I guess. So they came back, which is weird. The show's over, done. They just bring everyone back for 13, and then another 13. Yeah, but it's interesting in the fact that, like we said, that it was played by these white guys on the radio, and at this time they were smart enough to be like, hey, let's not fucking do blackface on TV. Let's get a real African American cast to play the roles.
Right.
So,
and this was the first.
The first full black African American cast.
Right. And particularly the leads, but yeah, like really the whole cast with a couple of sporadic Caucasian characters. Like one was like a judge. There were just a couple throughout.
I love that I pointed out to you the documentary that was from like 86. Because a lot of the reviews and stuff I was seeing references to this documentary, so I searched for it and finally found it on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's just called Amos and Andy
Anatomy of a Controversy.
But the actual title is Anatomy of a Controversy. It was really good for an 86 TV. It's only an hour long. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in knowing about the show, I would highly recommend that. And it's got so many great little clips.
Yeah, actually,
for a documentary to have that many actual moments from the show was good.
Yeah, truthfully, you're almost watching a full episode of Amos and Andy.
The best of, the best bits.
Yeah.
So they showed though the moment when, they introduced the TV character actors to the audience.
Yeah, to a live audience, they introduced,
and we're like, we know you're used to us, but wait till you see these guys. And it looked like it was like instantaneous, like, wow, yeah, like
right,
we like these guys.
They embodied the characters of Amos and Andy and the Kingfish.
That had to be so weird to be one of those guys, right? They're coming into the shoes of these white men been playing these parts for all these years, and it's like, how? I mean, it's got to be exciting because I'm sure African Americans didn't really get opportunities like that at that point.
No, at that point.
But also, it's got to be really weird. Like, it's got to be a strange feeling.
Right. No, it is like kind of like it's strange origins, and to walk into to now make yourself a part of this thing that has this odd origin. Yeah, it's got to be a very, very complex emotions, I guess, if you want to call it.
Interview with one of them I saw said, like, he goes, it was weird because we were breaking ground, but we were also like hated at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, we thought we were pushing boundaries for African Americans in show business, but they were pushing it right back at us. Like, well, you're doing it wrong. So the talk about the controversy this show had when it aired.
Yeah, well, here's one of the things that they said may have also been like one of the reasons too. The time that this show aired, actually, the NAACP was having a convention around the same time as the debut of Amos and Andy, so it became this almost linked piece that it's like, oh, okay, well, you're not going to you can't pull the one from the other now all of a sudden, and the NAACP took exception with the way the portrayal of African Americans was being done on TV. But I'm sorry.
It's and I didn't think about that when I was first watching it. So after I saw the documentary and I watched a few more, I was trying to look at it from a different perspective. And it's hard for me because it is a really funny show. Like, I did laugh. I belly laughed a lot in this.
Oh, yeah.
I did not
there were some just totally hilarious moments in this show.
So I'm going like, if this is, as Marla Gibbs says in the documentary, she goes, it wasn't that it was a bad representation of us. It was the only representation of us.
There was nothing to balance it. To say, okay, so, here's another African American portrayal, and here's another one. Because no, it's like, okay, this is it, and this is all you got, so that's all you have to base on. The backdrop is in New York City. Basically, they're in Harlem, the area that they're talking about. So, you're talking that area, and the vernacular that they're using, like the words and it sounds like a little uneducated, the way they sometimes talk, like Kingfish and Andy. Amos,
Yeah, and
Amos
one main
seems the
character
more
is
learned,
a moron, and the other one is a conniving criminal.
right? Yeah.
Basically.
Amos seems the more learned. He's supposedly he's the family man. He's the like when they actually went into more Amos, because there were episodes that had more Amos to it. It's
Seemed like the early ones, he would come on, narrate, and then
Right.
he had a daughter or something at one point?
He had
It was
multiple
kinda there.
kids, but yeah, like they showed the one daughter, like in that documentary, it showed him with his daughter about the story of Christmas, and going over the Lord's Prayer in conjunction.
Watching it, you're like, this could be on a stage. This could just be a vaudeville touring act of the time.
Right.
Weird because, it was not shot in front of an audience. It was played back for an audience.
Right.
And the laughs were recorded based on the video.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Again, we were saying that it preceded like the Honeymooners and Lucy, like in airing. It was also one of the first, Lucy being the other multi-camera show.
Yeah, and seeing if this wasn't shot in front of an audience, it was probably shot more like a movie.
Right.
That is weird.
Yeah.
The theme song, talk about the Honeymooners, that theme song reminds me a lot of that fucking Honeymooners oking.
I was
The
going to
sky,
say the
stars,
same thing, and that,
cityscape.
and particularly that ending of the song, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, oh my god! It's like, wait, is this like another variation? But I'm going to tell you something weird about that that theme song. What was the guy's name? Oh yeah, here, Joseph Carl Brill, Bryle. He wrote this thing, The Perfect Song. It was actually written as part of a score for a movie, a silent movie. Have you ever heard of the movie The Birth of a Nation?
No.
It's sort of a how do you want
It's
to
a
say
porno, right?
Huh? Oh yeah, it's
Porno?
a porno. It was a 3-hour porno.
So birthing porno where the actual nation comes out of a giant.
And there we go, A Birth of a Nation. No, it's a little bit of like kind of what's the term called, like revisionist history, extolling like the virtues of the Ku Klux Klan, and and connecting them sort of to Lincoln, and it's just like a weird. I've never watched it. I've read about.
So it's like a white supremacist propaganda film?
Yeah, kind of. That's the weird thing. Now to take this
Well,
song.
now I'm glad I've never seen it.
Yeah, same here. But now to
I'm
take.
bald. I can't be watching white supremacist shit.
No, but now here.
I'm not allowed anymore.
we found one. No, now to take now a song from a movie such as that and give it to, first it was the radio program of Amos and Andy, and then to the actual TV show. It's like, wait, huh? That's a very strange origin.
So you have your cast. You have Andy is Spencer Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Moore plays Kingfish. Elvin Childress plays Amos. Ernestine Wade plays Sapphire. And Johnny Lee plays Calhoun, who I also thought was pretty funny.
Algonquin J. Calhoun.
This poor fucker, I feel bad for him. This man, not only is he on this show that the NAACP rips off the airwaves.
Oh, yeah, I know his other thing.
He's also in Song of the South as Briar Rabbit, the voice of which is the movie, like I said, is banned as well.
Yeah, he's Brer Rabbit, and like when they were showing that in the documentary, and they mentioned that, and then I'm listening to his voice, I'm like, oh my god, yes, I recognize that voice, and it's like, oh god.
This
poor
guy's
guy.
probably like, fuck acting. Everything I do gets fucking buried in the fucking recesses of the earth. What the fuck? Can you imagine? He's like, I'm trying to make a living here.
In going in depth into this whole thing about Amos and Andy, I didn't know what things we were going to be talking about.
I didn't know the white guys playing them on the radio and shit when I even brought it up. Like,
right.
I just kind of assumed the same guys were on the radio show.
Right, and they just brought them forward to.
But I also didn't think about.
TV.
I didn't realize it started in 1928 either.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! But yeah, they said that ironically, the first all-black cast television show was killed by the civil rights movement. How ironic!
Yeah, it's really strange.
Ironic.
And in that documentary, you have Reverend Jesse Jackson talking about it, and it's like similarly to how like Marlon Gibbs was talking about it. That hey, like there was no balance, and that's why like
even
the
Red
NAACP,
Fox on there talking about it.
What's that?
Red Fox even on there talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Going like it was funny. He goes, that was the point.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I didn't look at it like it was racist. He goes, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, and apparently he was like, what does he say? Like sitting on a bench backstage or something or other at one of the tapings.
Yeah,
that's what it sounded like. Yeah, he was talking about that. I don't know if he meant the tapings of the TV show or if he's talking about like which thing it was.
They did try to tour the actors after the show, I guess.
Yes, and they got in trouble.
And then CBS like threatened a lawsuit or something, said they owned it.
Yeah. Now here's a weird thing. Being that you brought up something earlier, Amos and Andy to the TV show. Yes, CBS still owns the rights. Amos and Andy, public domain. The characters of Amos and Andy are public domain. The radio show, that's public domain. The TV show,
that is weird.
CBS still holds the rights.
That is weird. If someone was telling me that Winnie the Pooh just went public domain, so Disney lost their grip on it, the character because the book, so the book character is like public domain now.
Yes, the actual character Winnie the Pooh from the book and Christopher Robin and all those characters, yes, those are public domain. But if you see Pooh with a red shirt on, you better be careful because Disney owns that. That's the Disney Pooh.
Someone said they're doing a horror movie, Winnie the Pooh. Someone is going to do the horror version.
Oh my God.
What if they wear a white shirt and then throughout the movie it gets more and more stained with blood?
Blood to become red.
A red shirt. That would be a brilliant way to do it.
That is a great premise there. But you know what? I still have to watch. Like I taped, but I never got around to watch. Did you ever watch the Banana Splits movie?
I have it, but I have not watched it yet. The horror one.
Yeah. I have to watch that. Yeah, exactly. The horror.
That was supposed to be the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I guess, and then they lost the rights. It took so long to do or something. Because there's the video game that's like Chuck E. Cheese for a horror film, it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, and there's like fucking 10 of them by now. But I guess that was supposed to be that movie, and then I don't know what happened with the game studio and the movie studio, but they lost the rights, and then apparently somewhere in a dark, dank dumpster was a contract to own the Banana Splits, and they were like, fuck it. Let's make it the Banana Splits. Weird.
I guess Sid and Marty Krofft were okay with that.
Are they alive?
Yeah, both of them are alive. They're both in their 90s.
Jesus Christ. So we talked last time when we were kind of setting this up for, hey, next week we're talking about Amos and Andy. I didn't even know it when we said it, but we were like, well, I've never seen this show, and I guess we know why now, because it wasn't on the fucking air since 1966.
That's
crazy.
Yeah. Basically, the NAACP fought for years to remove that, not just the first run of it, but the syndication of it. And finally, in 1966, boom.
Yeah, they started fighting it in 1960, and then 66 it was pulled off the air. And they said it has not aired since. That is insane to me.
Right.
Especially watching it. And it's I've heard the name for, my whole life. There's references to
Same
it
here.
and jokes and stuff. Never really thought. I was like, oh, it must not be that great if I don't see it. So now watching it and going, this is pretty fucking funny, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, should I feel like a horrible person for finding this funny? I don't know, because I'm like, I was laughing. I thought these actors were great. Their performances were great.
Oh no, I totally agree with you. I think everyone played their character to the T. Like it was awesome, and I could definitely see a lot of what was written and performed there. Like it's like, wait a second, I remember that as being like a scam thing, like in a later show. Not Amos and Andy, but in later sitcoms. It's like, yeah,
even the slapstick in this show is really good.
Yeah,
so good. Like Andy, the big guy, is even like got some great pratfalls and falling down ladders and shit. I was laughing my ass off.
No, but which episodes did you wind up watching? Do you know, or?
Well, when I first brought it up to you and I told you I was watching it on YouTube, I watched probably like 6 that day.
Okay.
And then I watched another probably 5 or 6 today. I would say my favorite ones I watched were The Invisible Glass.
Yes.
Did you watch that one?
That
one killed me.
That was so hysterical.
Kingfish comes up with a plan where he's going to convince he wants to get some stocks or something from Andy.
Yeah, for Consolidated Glass was the.
So he tries to get him to invest in this invisible glass.
Because that's going to make Consolidated Glass like basically obsolete and worthless. So
and
here,
exactly
sell me your.
Look, Andy, look at this is the invisible glass, and he has his buddy back behind the door. I'm gonna drop it now, and then he breaks a real piece of glass. But he tells him it's like bulletproof, right? So Andy comes in with a fucking gun. He's like, hold it up. Hold it up! A lot of great gun violence in the show. I know. I love that.
Oh yeah, I was surprised on that too because you had that. There was a whole episode, the gun.
Is that the same one where he thought it was a lighter?
Yeah.
That must be one of those lighters they make that look like a gun. Boom! Shoots the fucking ceiling out. The one with the ladder I was talking about, where Kingfish, I forget the reason why. I think he doesn't want his niece or something to move into the house, so he hooks the niece up with Andy, but then he wants Andy to stand her up to make her stay away from men or something. So Andy's trying to like climb up to her window on this ladder, but he gives him the wrong window.
Oh,
the
God.
The blinds are down, so every time he climbs up there and he's like, oh, I forget the girl's name, whatever. I'm here to take you out. And the Kingfish just punches him in the fucking face every time he comes up to the window through the blind. And he's like, I guess she gave me a love tap. He's got his fucking nose all. And every time he climbs up there, he gets punched in the face again and just slides comedically fast down the ladder. Whoop! Like the Three Stooges would or something, Yeah, it's pretty fun. I hands the flowers through the window, and then they immediately come and get shoved into his mouth, Some great slapsticky stuff.
What was another one I saw? I saw the one with the raising the chinchillas to make a coat. And now, like you and I, if we went into like a pet store nowadays, like like they could get a chinchilla. What are they? Maybe like what are they? $100 or something or other? Or?
Those were a hot pet for a minute. I remember everyone had a fucking chinchilla. Like late '90s, and I have not seen a single person with one since. I don't think.
But apparently,
maybe the NAACP came after the chinchilla owners too. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. The National Association of Chinchilla. But apparently though, like back in those days, because also they were making a lot of chinchilla coats. That chinchillas were the hot item, and it was very expensive to.
Well, imagine how many you'd have to kill. They're only like this fucking big, aren't they?
I know. Yeah, that's the crazy part. It's like, well,
they fucking kill 1 million of those things to make a coat.
It's like if you got 2, it's going to take a while for you to get to coat level. Yeah, maybe you can get like a sock or something.
Overfeed them. Make him as fat as possible.
Yes, overfeed them and I don't know, have a 24-hour porn. I don't know, chinchilla porn.
Did you see the episode where Kingfish convinced Andy they were switched at birth so he could steal this job from him?
Oh no, I didn't see that one.
That was about the dumbest Andy could have been, I think, in any of the shows. Where he gets a telegram from his uncle in, what was it? It was South America somewhere. And he tells Kingfish about this job he got. And so Kingfish wants this job because it's like a lot of money. So he's like, we were switched at birth, right? And he gives this whole fucking thing.
God.
Convinces them that they were switched at birth, and he's really Andy, and he needs to go. That's his birthright to go take that job.
Oh my God! I love though, like when Kingfish is like scheming and that, he's always saying the thing, and then when he quiets, his eyes are just like studying, like okay, like studying Andy.
He does this. Yeah, like whenever he's signing the documents, he's always like looking at him like, I got you, bitch.
Yeah, like kind of like little side eyes, like.
What's great is though he never wins. He always gets his comeuppance in the end.
Yeah,
like in that episode, after he steals the job, he's on the boat. He's like on this boat with a bunch of. Remember we talked about the other stereotypical sitcom thing with flying on a plane with chickens or riding in the bus with goats. He's on a fucking boat with a bunch of sheep and goats.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, there's another one. I've seen that before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm sure one of probably the earliest uses of that trope in sitcoms.
But then you find out, like, his wife comes in and she's like, where the hell's my husband? And like, oh, he went to South America. He scammed me or whatever. And she goes, damn it. That telegram wasn't from your uncle. It was from me. I was trying to get you out of my husband's life. So there was no job to begin with. So like, everything ends with him getting screwed out of his own conniving plans. He sells them like a house facade that's like 2 inches. Mm-hmm. So they're like carrying the furniture and they walk right through this little door.
It's like, wow.
And he just kept going, missed it.
Wow, we walked right through the house out to the backyard.
And then he goes, why don't you try again? And he goes, how'd you do? And he goes, missed it. Or missed it again. Yeah. There's some real funny moments in this show.
Yep.
And
with that one where they're going around the facade, one in the front, one in the back, and they meet. I'm like, okay.
It's literally like a foot wide, if that.
Mm-hmm. It's like, yep, I've seen that type of thing go on.
Now, when I told you to do this show, were you like, this is gonna be nothing? It's gonna be some stupid, boring thing, or?
No, I didn't think it was gonna be boring, but I thought it was going to, because I had never watched.
There was more to the story than I knew at the time of bringing it up.
Yes.
I
thought it was
aware.
I thought it was just a complete controversial thing, and that's why we haven't seen it, and that's a piece to it. That's it's not just like all out controversy. Yeah, there was a lot more going on here, and like, wait a second, this is like, if we didn't have Amos and Andy, what would have happened? Would we not have had some of the sitcoms like, say, a Sanford and Son, say, a Jeffersons, at the time that we did? Like, would it have been delayed a bit?
The actor who played Amos, he went on to do guest spots in the Jeffersons and Good Times. Mm-hmm. If it was Nick something, was the other. I forget which character he played.
Oh, he played.
Was
Lightning.
he the flat brimmed guy? Hat guy?
No, he was the one that actually was carrying the chair for Andy.
Yeah, he always wore that hat with the flat brim.
Right.
A Gomer Pyle look or something almost. The interview with him, he goes, yeah, no one had done anything before, and unfortunately most of them didn't get to do anything after. But Kingfish and somebody else, he said, had already retired from show business. And they were, I guess, the creator's dream casting, so they came out of retirement to do it.
God.
Because they said Kingfish had a 30-year career before that. But if you look at his resume,
I think
there's only like 5 items or something on his IMDb, so maybe it's all radio stuff that's just not listed.
No, from what I had read, actually, he did a lot on Broadway, actually, Tim Moore.
Yeah, I forget which other actor they said, but it must have been someone older too. But I don't think it was Andy. But,
you know what? I think it might have been the one that played Mama. Yeah, Sapphire's Mama.
Yeah, she was great. Like, it seemed like the later ones, you get a lot more of Kingfish's family, him and his wife and her mother.
Right.
It's so funny that the name of the fucking show is
Amos and Andy, but
and it's mostly about Kingfish almost.
Kingfish and Andy. Yeah, it's like the schemer and the mark. Basically, they could have called it that, schemer and the mark. Yeah.
I was listening to one of your the Gilbert Gottfried episodes, and I listened to the Dick Van Dyke one.
Oh,
They were
yes.
talking about. He goes, "You were not the first choice for the star of the Dick Van Dyke Show." It was the Carl Reiner show, basically. Carl Reiner wrote it for himself, and then they were like, not quite. So they made it the Dick Van Dyke Show and hired him, but that's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot on that show, like, a lot of good information you find out and, like, stories from, like,
I've listened to about
actors
10
and actresses.
episodes of Gilbert now in the last couple days.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, so what are your final thoughts, do you think, on Amos and Andy?
I'll say this. I was pleasantly surprised, but at the same point, like, sometimes watching it, like, I had a little bit of, like, that shiver of, like, but...
You got some cringe from it?
Not complete cringe, but it's just like, damn, it's like, I think it's more the vernacular and, again, how the portrayal, like, again, Andy always falling for these things, like, okay, so he's playing an idiot. Yeah, it's like, oh...
It's hard for me to look at. Like, I'm not a guy who gets offended easy anyway. I'm usually the offensive one. But when it comes to race, it's not. I can't be the one to be like, I'm offended for you. Like,
right.
Get it. I get it. But I'm also that guy who's like, anything that's funny is almost acceptable to me, and it like stand-up comedy. Fucking love stand-up comedy, and some of those comedians have the worst fucking acts that are just horrible and offensive. And if you do it right, you win me over, you know?
Oh yeah, no. It's...
You can tell when someone's trying to be cringe just for cringe sake or offensive just for offensive sake, or if they're actually smart and coming from a smart place. Carlin was great at that. Louis C.K. was great at that.
Yeah.
Like, Louis C.K. opened his show with that joke about child molestation. Remember that? He's like, I'm not condoning child molestation. I'm just saying, if we made less of a big deal about it, we'd probably get more of them back.
Jeez.
You go, holy fuck.
Oof.
But you also can realize the brilliance in that joke.
Right.
Like, it's horrible and it's disgusting, but you also go, that's actually really a smart take on a disgusting thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny you also bring up Carlin. Did you see the recent released documentary? Or
I shared, I think, the trailer on our page, the HBO or something.
Yes, yeah.
I want to watch that doc, the Carlin doc, and there's the new Bob Saget doc is now on Netflix, I think.
And also we got to watch
Dirty Dad.
You probably have watched it already, but the Norm one, the new Norm.
Oh, I've not watched it yet. No.
Yeah, that's also on my.
I'll wait until we need Netflix for something probably, and then I'll just watch them all at once.
But I will say this: I don't think I'm gonna spoil anything for you with the Carlin one. I watched it, but I didn't realize the depth of some of the things he was saying and what it caused. But the whole FCC with words that you can't say.
Can't say on television, yeah.
Carlin, unfortunately, is the one that gave them a guideline for things that they can't, because somebody was listening to, like, a radio station was playing it, and this guy was listening in his car and was offended, and he made a big to-do about it. So basically
one of them was shit, right? But you can say shit now.
Apparently, yeah.
I remember with South Park, the first fucking episode after they were allowed to say shit on TV, they said it like 164 times in one episode. They had a little counter in the corner and everything.
I love that show.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly thoroughly impressed with this, and I might watch a few more. I found how many did you see that were on YouTube? Like, I saw a playlist of like 133 or something. I don't know if that's most of them that are available.
You know what? I think that was the one that I actually used, but some of them are not full episodes. Some of them
I even watched one
clips.
or two that were colorized.
Right. Some of them are clips in that that grouping there.
Yeah, there was like 2 of them on there that were colorized, and I'm like, who the hell did this and when and why if you can't put it on TV?
Right.
Were they colorizing stuff before 66? I guess maybe they were.
I don't know. It's like I didn't know the whole colorization of some of those like old shows and like movies was going on that early. I thought it was more like in my what was it, like late teens to 20s, whatever, that Ted Turner got the bug and wanted to colorize everything.
Yeah, I did not expect to laugh as much as I did, and I'm very pleased that I brought this one up.
Yeah, and I definitely
even
will
if
watch
you are,
more.
Even if you know the origins are offensive, I think it's important to give these actors their dues. I think these guys are hysterical, and we said before most shows we watch, we go, oh, I know this person from this show, I know this person from this show.
Yep.
Not knowing any of these guys, I'm so glad I watched this.
Right.
Because I never would have heard of them in my fucking life, and I haven't. I've made it 35 years on this planet, never having watched this show, and to see how talented they were,
right,
how funny they were. But at least, hey, it's on YouTube for free, so there's that.
Right. But yeah, I could really see though. Also, yeah, like you said, giving these actors, actresses their due, and also just like kind of like watching like the advent really of sitcom television and seeing like, I remember Ralph and like in Norton, like with some kind of scam like this. Oh wait, I remember something from Sanford and Son where George was into something. It's like, oh my god, it's like I'm seeing the origins of.
Well,
like,
imagine
sitcom
being
TV.
maligned by your own fucking race when you think you're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You think you're doing this thing that's going to open doors, and it did really, if you think about it.
Right, and
but also at the same time being ridiculed for it.
Right, and in the documentary, and I had also read, the actress Hattie McDaniel actually had a great line too. It's like, now here's the thing: I can take a job playing a maid on a show or a movie, and make like $700 or something like that. Or my other option is I could actually be a maid for someone to make like $7 a week. So,
well, and that's the thing too. They said is when they went from the radio program to the TV show, they actually made them more middle class. The characters.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they were more poor and downtrodden in the radio program, but when they went to TV, like they were like middle class, lived in a nice apartment, or had offices. Like I don't even have a fucking office. This is my office right here.
Same here. This is my office.
Nice suits, ties, top hats. Shit, they got the style, man.
But yeah,
I wonder why that choice was made, because it doesn't seem like they were worried about offending African Americans at that point. So why the choice to make them, one, actual black actors, and two, to make them, more well off?
I'm not sure, but like when you said about like, oh, they're, were they not middle class? Were they? Yeah, apparently the initial like origin of those characters, they were both working on a farm in Georgia and decided to take a trip to Chicago to try to make a better life. And
didn't they have a cab company or something?
Yep,
said
was it the open air fresh air taxi company? I think that's what the name was, because there was no windshield on the taxi. So yeah, to go from farm to try to make it in the city to, okay, now we've moved now all the way to the East Coast, and now we're middle class. So yeah, I guess it's really just the ongoing growth of the characters. And
would you recommend this show then?
I would definitely recommend the show, especially as a study, a real study in early sitcoms, radio shows that got turned into TV shows, such as Lucy. And also just the initial. Okay, this was the first African American cast. Like here, check it out.
Even if you just love things like I Love Lucy and The Honeymooners, the writing on this is right up there. Like it's great, great jokes, great physical humor. So it's not even like you have to go, okay, watch it because it's the first black show. I think it's just a well-written, funny show.
True.
That I didn't, having not seen it, didn't expect it to hold up so well, from a writing standpoint anyway. Maybe not an offensive standpoint, but the way the jokes are written, and there's even things in here that I could see being said on a show today. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
From the just wisecracks and that kind of thing, that's how smart it feels. So
true. And I know I was reading, and I don't know if it was the writers for the radio show or if some of those writers came over to the TV show, but a couple of the writers apparently went on to things like The Munsters and what was the other show? Like a couple of well-known sitcoms that it's like, oh wait, hold on, these the same guys that started with Amos and Andy that went on to this.
Can we talk about that abomination of a fucking remake real quick? The Munsters.
Oh yeah, again. Have just seen the pictures so far, and I don't know.
Universal. Why the fuck would you give the Munsters to Rob Zombie? That motherfucker.
No.
My Halloween collection back here. The man who fucking raped the Halloween franchise. You take Halloween's got some of the highest highs and the lowest lows, and then you let this man come in and butt fuck the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell? Why is there rape in a Halloween movie, Rob Zombie? Why is there rape in all of your movies, you fucking weirdo?
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think. House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah, I think
Grandpa gonna be fucking bending Eddie Munster over the fucking mantle. Like, what's going on here? It's supposed to be PG too. Which, if you've ever seen a Rob Zombie movie, PG really? Really?
I don't know how that will work, but.
And his wife has got to star in all of his shit, even though she can't act her way out of a paper bag. Anyway. Look forward to the Munsters fucking remake. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
maybe we'll cover the show next season.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe next season we can get into some of the horror-based sitcoms, such as the Munsters and the Addams Family, or like things such as that.
What are two shows you want to cover next season, real quick? Just
shows for next season I'd like to cover. Actually, one of those two was
just give two little sneak peeks. You think?
Yeah. I would love to get into one of those two. I'd also like for more recent shows, well, not really recent, but semi-recent, 90s. I'd like to actually do Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm a big Ray Romano guy.
Yeah, it's probably time to do Raymond.
Hey! No, he's got a wife.
I'm gonna suck his dick so fucking. I'm gonna suck millions out of his dick. I'd like to do. I want to do F Troop. I think.
Oh, great show!
Fucking love F Troop, and there's some comparisons to this.
Oh yeah. Oh no. There's
and our last
some...
show. And our last show we covered the Kids in the Hall. Death Comes to Town.
Oh, that was. Have you watched any more of the new season? Kids in the Hall.
No, but I've watched a shit ton of the sketches from the old show on YouTube.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Love those. But yeah, check out the new.
Oh
show.
yeah,
I've checked out the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Freaking hysterical.
Do we have anything else on Amos and Andy? You want to tell them what we're doing next week?
Well, next week, I believe we are going to do My Wife and Kids. Wait, that didn't sound right.
I didn't know you had kids, Nick.
Yeah, I didn't know I had kids either. Oh, okay.
Please don't do them.
No, I believe the show we will be watching is My Wife and Kids.
Yeah, from one of the earliest black shows to a much later.
Yes, much later.
I forget what's the early 2000s. I've been watching a lot of it the last couple of weeks, but we'll discuss that more in depth as we get there.
Yeah, and we're almost done with season 1, and also hopefully we have that other special coming up as well that we mentioned a tidbit last week.
Yes. So we think we're gonna do 2 more shows, and then we're gonna do two little season enders that are gonna be kind of fun. So it's been a fun ride. I've been watching. I've discovered a lot of new shows that like I said, I've been watching more Living Single too. So
Great show.
I think I'm halfway through season 2 now. I'm plowing through this bitch.
Yeah.
Whenever I get like my eBay sales or something, I'm packaging up a bunch of shit. I'll pop it on and just kind of be watching it as I'm working, and
sweet.
Yeah, it's been good. So.
And I love the fact of from you and I basically discovering shows that we had never, you or I had never watched before. Like for you, Living Single. For me, Raising Hope. It's like, oh wait, these are great.
And then neither of us had seen.
Yes, and this one was a surprise to both of us.
If we can find a way for you to get your hands on this show, we got to do this one too. I was telling him before we recorded.
Oh my god!
Who fucking put in the comments right now if you knew there was a spin-off of Home Improvement starring Dave Chappelle called Buddies,
and originally supposed to be starring also Jim Brewer, who then got
Brewer. There's an episode of Home Improvement with Jim Brewer and Dave Chappelle are on Tool Time. And I guess it was such a big freaking hit that they gave these guys a spinoff, but they fired Jim Brewer and recast him with some other guy. And I guess it fits in with the racism talk of this episode, because the whole premise of the damn show is literally just, I'm black, you're white, and we're friends. How crazy is that? I think there was 12 or 13 episodes, and for some reason they say the best 10 episodes are on this DVD. I don't know why the fuck you wouldn't just include the last couple, but whatever.
How bad are those 3? Just after watching the 10, we have to know. We have to imagine, I guess, how bad were the 3.
So maybe we'll be able to do this show. We got to find a way to let Nick watch it too, because I'm not going to let him pay $60 for it. I'm sure it's terrible, but it's literally marketed on the front of the DVD case as the show Dave Chappelle doesn't want you to see, which reminds me of Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation.
Oh God!
When that was shelved but it starred Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey, who were nobody at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
And then a few years later, they're fucking huge, and the studio was like, "It's our time to shine, boys!" And they're like, "Let's put out Texas Chainsaw: Next Generation, starring Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger." That's the kind of shit they hope to get, bury. So I can only imagine, and I guess by all accounts, I seen an interview or something where Dave just basically flat out refused to talk about the show.
Wow. So, okay. So must really be good.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, where can they find us, Nick?
Well, if you're looking for us from Sitcom My Face, you could find Jay at twitch.tv/BidwellFog and me at twitch.tv/netnick191.
You can email us at sitcommyface@gmail.com, facebook.com/sitcommyface. I try to post a little bit on there each week, but we're also sharing, previous episodes and the new episodes. Mm-hmm. We're getting a few likes here and there. We got over 100 and something, 115, I think, or something like that.
Sweet.
Let's get them numbers up, get them thumbs right up the butt. But yeah.
And eventually, I guess we'll post shit on Twitter, which we are also Sitcom My Face. It took us forever to get that name, but finally we got it. But we just have to post.
You can follow me on Twitter as well at BidwellFog. So.
And I'm NetNick191. Hey, go figure for both of us.
And you can go find his podcast, What Exit Jersey Stories, are available everywhere podcasts are available, right?
That is correct. And
I saw you uploaded some new episodes, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple more to upload as well. And if they want to check out your old episodes...
Hard to Swallow with J.J. Bidwell. A memory popped up, and it was a magical day. Stitcher put us on the top moving shows way back in the day.
Oh, wow.
We were
nice.
number 6 on their top movers. What a
Sweet.
world it was back in like 2014.
Sweet.
I want to go back to those days when it was easier.
Yes, not when there was a million podcasts that like you're competing to get some time with.
Right.
Alrighty.
What would we like our audience to do for us, Nick?
Well, I like them too. Sitcom
My
face.
Good night,
Bye bye,
everybody.
everyone.